try to do this the opposite way.
High fly ball, deep left field. Oh, 27 does it again.
Gone. Fernando Tatis Jr. with a 2-run shot has the Padres on the board. Ball and 2 strikes to Shohei here. Oh, got it! Got it! 33!
Oh, wow. Where did that one go? That's his 11th.
Driven out to deep center field. Going back, Springer, turning, looking, see ya! Oh, what a shot by Judge! The Yankees lead 1-0.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 30, Dirty 30 of Free Baseball Podcast with me, Davis Bird, and my lovely partner in crime, baseball partner in crime, Jake Crumpler. I know we haven't been here for like a hot minute, but we got a lot to talk about. Season's winding down. Thought we'd run down a couple things since we've missed, and then we'll try to get back into a regular flow of things in the future, especially to cover the playoffs. So starting off, as always, with a special guy. We always talk about him. Love him. Hot players. And we're starting off with Steven Kwan. Hit the Kwan. 106 plate appearances since September 8th, since we haven't been here for a hot minute. Hitting 362 since then. 429 on base. The guy just loves to get on base. 532 slug. Scored 21 runs. 3 dingers for a guy that doesn't really hit for a whole lot of power. 14 RBIs. 7 steals. It's 1.5 F-WAR. That's second in MLB behind Aaron Judge in that time frame, which really, like, putting into perspective, really good. On the season, hitting 301 with a 375 on base, 88 runs, 6 dingers on the season, so 3 of them hit just since September 8th. 51 RBI, 19 steals, and he has a 125 WRC plus while being a plus defender out in the outfield. Tell me about Steven Kwan. Tell me what we don't know about Steven Kwan.
I just thought it would be great to, since we basically started the season off with Kwan, I thought it would be great to sort of end the season with Kwan because, I don't know, he was like the story to start the season. And then September, he's really picked it back up and he sort of put himself right at the forefront of the AL Rookie of the Year race, which is going to be really interesting because you have big names like Rutschman and Kirby and Julio that it's going to be interesting to see if Kwan gets it because honestly, he sort of deserves it at this point. He's played the whole entire season. He's gone through his ups and downs, but batting 300, playing, like you said, playing great defense and showing some power in the last few weeks. Pretty impressive. He's just like such a good player. He's got that dog in him. It's exactly what you like to see. Steven Kwan's great, and I think he's going to be like a lot of fun to watch for a while. I think he's really shown this season that, you know, he belongs in the MLB and that he deserves to be at the top of that Rookie of the Year conversation.
Of course, and of course, being a big part of the Cleveland Guardians' surprise win of the AL Central, which I know both of us kind of slated them at the start of the season, and he's just been a huge part of their like storming to beat out the White Sox and the Twins. Staying in the Central NL this time, Brandon Woodruff of the Milwaukee Brewers since September 8th. Of course, he has gone 4-0, 26 innings pitched. He's got a 1.38 ERA with a 0.88 WHIP, sub-1 WHIP, and a 42% K percentage, which is just wild. Why don't you run down some of these starts, Jake, and just tell us all about Brandon Woodruff, because that guy's just nails.
Yeah, so he's had 4 starts since September 8th. Each one of them, he struck out double-digit batters. The first one was on 9/11, national holiday. Oh, that might be touchy subject for some. He went 6 innings. He only allowed 2 earned. He struck out 11 against the Reds, 17 whiffs and a 32.5% CSW. Pretty solid first start since our last podcast. And then he just kept it rolling. Went 8 innings against the Yankees where he struck out 10 more. He had 16 whiffs in that one, 35.5% CSW. He went and faced the Reds again, this time in Great American Small Park on the 22nd. He went another 6 innings, struck out 11 more batters with 17 whiffs and a 35.5% CSW once again. And then what could be considered the best start of them all, he went 6 shutout innings where he struck out 10 St. Louis Cardinals on the 28th. He had 19 whiffs in that one and a 36.7% CSW. So it's just been great to see him get back to his form, because if you remember at the beginning of the season, he was really struggling. I think he went on the IL for a while, and it's good to see him back, because it seemed like, oh shoot, like I don't know, sometimes it'll be like some guys will fall off a little and you just start to wonder, like, is this just him falling off of his peak? But Woodruff is too good to do that, and he's turned his season around, and now he's up to 13-4 on the season with 147 innings pitched. He's got a 3.05 ERA, a 1.09 WHIP, and a 30.5% strikeout rate. That's really great from one of the aces of baseball.
Of course, Brewers still kind of dogfighting it out, trying to get that last playoff spot.
Yeah, I saw a really funny meme. When Plankton's trying to teach SpongeBob to be evil or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the guy's just like some eel guy like takes SpongeBob's ice cream cone. You know that one? You know what I'm talking about?
I know.
Yeah, and he's just like, hey, that's my ice cream cone. And then Plankton says, now let him have it. And he's just like, you can have it. It's like the Phillies are SpongeBob and the Brewers are the eel guy.
Yeah, I also saw one that was I don't remember what game it was, but it was the people in the kayaks out in McCovey Cove, and they were trying one was trying to reach for a baseball that was in the water. Yeah, and it was they were the Brewers, and then another one just swooped in, and it was the Padres, and they just yanked it up and win. Like, the Brewers have just been not good. They're other than Woodruff, they've kind of struggled like mightily since the trade deadline. And if I had to put money on it, I don't think they get that playoff spot. But speaking of playoff spots, we've been waiting for the day to talk about it. The Mariners have finally made the playoffs. It's their first playoff appearance since 2001. I don't even remember what I was doing in 2001. Me and Jake were both small children.
Yes.
Of course, rookie Cal Raleigh, 26th dinger of the year in a walk-off fashion, clinches it to the awesome. Did you hear the commentary? The awesome commentary from Dave Sims. If you haven't seen that, I would suggest that you go find it. It's just so cool. Congratulations to the Mariners. Totally deserved. And it's almost magical. And like when people ask like why you like sports and stuff like that, moments like that are why. They haven't made the playoffs in almost our lifetime almost. So, and then they do it in walk-off fashion with a young team. Rookie does it. It's special. So special. Congratulations to the Mariners.
Yeah, you're right. It is moments like that make me love baseball too, because you sort of have to understand the history of the game, not only just like what's happened in the last 20 years, but just the history of baseball and like what it means to hit a walk-off home run to clinch a playoff spot, and coming from a rookie who has had his ups and downs this season. Debuted last year, he was absolutely horrible, and now he's showing that he's one of the guys you can rely on behind the plate. And yeah, it's just great to see a team that's just had so much bad luck over the last 21 years to finally break that playoff drought. I don't know if it was the longest playoff drought in the history of sports, but it was the longest current one. So it's cool to see that one go. I mean, the last time the Mariners made the playoffs, Ichiro was a freaking rookie. So that's crazy, because Ichiro played like until he was 45 or whatever. So it's pretty wild to see them make the playoffs. I think it partially is due to the fact that we have the extra wild card spots. I think they still, it looks like they still would have made it as like the second wild card team. They would have made the wild card game, but either way, great to see the Mariners finally reach the playoffs for the first time in so long. I think they've really become America's team. They're such a fun team to watch with Julio, who's been on the IL for a little bit. But they've got a bunch of young players. They've got a bunch of veterans that are fun to watch. And they've got a great pitching staff that is now locked up for long term after Luis Castillo's extension. So the Mariners are going to be fun to watch for a while.
Absolutely. So that snapped the longest active playoff drought in North American sports at the current moment. Now that is held, unfortunately, by the Sacramento Kings in the NBA. Second is the New York Jets. And do you know who is the longest playoff drought in baseball now, Jake?
Playoff drought. Rangers.
No. Give me one more guess.
Look at the teams real quick. Let's see. No, I have no idea. The Diamondbacks.
Is held by the Philadelphia Phillies.
Really?
10 years
Wow.
since they last made the playoffs. So the Phillies, I believe they still have a chance to make it on the outside.
They're in it right now. They're
Yeah,
one
that
game ahead of the Brewers.
right. Yeah, they're so the Phillies win that, then they will break their drought, and then the next team is actually the Detroit Tigers, which will have the longest drought. So if the Phillies make the playoffs, the Tigers' 8-year playoff drought will be the longest in baseball, which isn't even like what, not even half, almost not even a third of what the Mariners playoff drought was, just showing you how bad that was and how big this accomplishment is. So once again, big congratulations to the Seattle Mariners. Some news broke, I believe it was last night. Shohei Ohtani reached an agreement arbitration with the Los Angeles Angels, $30 million for 1 year. It is the highest arbitration salary of all time. And I have to say, it's very well deserved. And it's probably going to be about that much Shohei Ohtani long term for whatever team's going to get him per year, obviously. But honestly, for baseball's sake, I'm kind of hoping it's not the Angels.
Yeah, it was pretty big deal. I think the previous record was Mookie Betts, like 28 or 29 million a couple years ago, but pretty crazy. Ohtani deserves it more than anyone. I mean, this is sort of a steal, to be honest. But like Shohei's worth probably like $50 million at the least. You can do those like war per dollars thing, and it's like $8 million per war. He's worth probably like $75 million a year if you were to actually pay him how much he's worth. So $30 million, pretty good steal. There's no way he goes back to the Angels if he wants to win. It's disappointing because, I think everybody wants to see him and Trout be successful, make the playoffs. Let's fingers crossed so hard next year, to the point that I'm losing circulation in my fingers, that next year the Angels are actually good, because I would love to see Ohtani not only go out on a high note, but to have him and Trout in the playoffs would be so sick. But it's hard to bank on that at all. But yeah, that's beside the point right now. Ohtani definitely getting his money's worth after being one of those guys that came over before the age of 26. So he was making the league minimum salary when he first came over for the first 3 years of his career. And so now he's finally getting his pay. And it's going to be really interesting to see in the offseason after the 2023 season what that free agency is going to be like. It's going to be absolutely wild this offseason. We get to see Judge. Next offseason, we get to see Ohtani, and then we get to see Soto hit free agency the following offseason. So it's going to be 3 straight offseasons of giant stars getting their payday, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all the different franchises attack that.
Absolutely. So his $30 million contract is actually $3 million higher than the highest of all time previously, which you're right, it was Mookie Betts, $27 million. It's the biggest year-to-year increase ever for a singular player since I believe he made five and a half million. So that's $24.5 million raise. And now he's in the top 10 of 2023 in terms of salary and AAV. So Good for Ohtani. Obviously, he's worth more than that realistically in a year just because of what he brings. I mean, it's not every day that you have a player that is simultaneously got a chance to be your best pitcher and your best hitter with the foreign market implications that he brings. Like, he just puts eyeballs on your team. And it's going to be weird when he hits free agency, just because literally every team should want him and every team should offer him some sort of contract. Like, there's no reason not to. I don't care what cheapskate owner you possibly have. Small market teams should do their best to make him an offer, because if they get him, I mean, he just bumps up the value of your franchise exponentially. But good for Shohei Ohtani. It's really weird to place and see what the Angels are going to do. But also, I mean, he could be a huge trade chip next year too if the Angels are bad. Because some team will give up, king's ransom to get him and first right of refusal to try to extend him. So Shohei Ohtani, big implications there. Former Angel. And maybe a future Angel, we'll see. Albert Pujols and Aaron Judge. Cool home run news. Albert Pujols obviously eclipsing 700 home runs. Congratulations to Albert Pujols. I'll let you gush over him because I know he's your guy.
Yes, my boy Albert Pujols. He was my favorite player growing up, mostly because of the stats he was putting up. That's what really got me into baseball, was the stats. And Pujols was the best of the best in putting up just crazy numbers every single year. And it's great to see him finally reach this milestone that everybody was wondering if he could make it. He just hit his 702nd home run today in his final home game in St. Louis. Pretty crazy to have somebody reach that mark. I don't think we may never see this again in our lifetime. Like, people, I don't know if people are realizing how incredible this feat is, because like we've only seen this happen like once every 30 years or so. I don't, because it was like Babe Ruth, and then it was like 40 years until Hank Aaron did it, and then another 40 until Barry Bonds did it. And so like we've been lucky to see Barry Bonds and Pujols both reach those numbers in our lifetime, but incredible. 700 home runs is insane. We may never see that again. We may never see that for another 40 years or so. So pretty incredible, but I don't know, how is he doing this, bro? Like, he's got to be roided.
Yeah. Juice to the gills, Albert Pujols. I think it's just a culmination of him doing it the right way. His career, the baseball gods smiling down upon Albert Pujols.
He hit 6 home runs in the first half and 17 now in the second half.
Yeah. It's like, it's the baseball gods, man. They're bumping him up. They're trying to get him there. Albert Pujols has personally victimized my beloved Chicago Cubs too much, but I'm glad that he got to this milestone. It's really cool for baseball. He totally deserves it. And I think that actually bumped his career. Like, I think over this span, it might have bumped him back over 100 WAR, which I really, really like.
He did also, with that home run today, he tied Babe Ruth for career RBI. I don't know if Ruth has the most, or if
I think he does
more. I'm gonna double check that, but
yep. This season, Albert has finally gotten back over. I'm looking at Baseball Reference WAR, of course, but he's finally gotten back over 100 WAR.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. 101.
He did pass Ruth in RBI, but Aaron has the most RBI, and he's like 80 ahead of.
Yeah, so he's not gonna catch that. But
who knows at this pace, bro? He could hit 80 RBI in the next 5 games.
Maybe. Another home run chase record. Of course, if you're a college football fan, you won't be too happy about it because they keep cutting away from your games to watch his at bats. But Aaron Judge tied Roger Maris with his 61st home run. Awesome. I mean, he still got a chance to break the record for the AL, of course. Even he said, all right, so here, I'm going to get on my soapbox real quick. If you're some chud that keeps saying that the real record is 62, no, it isn't. Shut up. Especially you, Roger Maris Jr. Your 15 minutes of fame need to go away. Even Aaron Judge said that the real record is 73. So Aaron Judge would be breaking the AL record, not the baseball record, with 62 home runs. But he tied it. I think he's been walked about 50 times since then, but still got a chance. And Aaron Judge is probably going to walk away from the Yankees and sign for $2 quadrillion somewhere else.
With the Giants.
Probably. I honestly think he will sign with the Giants.
That would be sick.
Yeah. So congratulations to Aaron Judge. Can't have Isaiah here to slander the Yankees, but I sure want to. And it's on Judge.
Yeah, that's it's still cool in and of itself. I remember when Stanton was chasing 60, and I thought it would have been dope to see him hit 60. So it's still awesome to hit 60 because very few guys have ever done it. Like Ruth, Maris, McGuire, Sosa, and Bonds. Now he's the 6th guy to ever do that. That's a pretty exclusive club. But yeah, anybody that's saying like, oh, hey, this is the real record, like, no, come on. Barry Bonds is the GOAT. I don't care what anybody else says. It's really funny. It's like, I don't know. I've just been seeing a lot of memes about it where it's like Judge is like 7th most in home runs. I don't know if you know which meme I'm talking about, where the guy like he like gets the gold medal or something. He, like,
where it's got the podium.
He's just like, he's like flipping everybody off. Yeah, and then it's just like he's 7th all time. There's just like a bunch of guys ahead of him. It's really funny. But yeah, that's sort of what it's like. But hey, it's still incredible to hit 60 home runs. It's been an insane season for him. Like you said, he's been walked like crazy during this past month. He's got a 25.9% walk rate in the month of September, which is bonkers. Wow. I tried to get the splits leaderboard to work on Fangraphs, but it wouldn't load. I was just trying to look at the highest walk rate since the 1990 season. in a month, but it wouldn't work. So I cannot give you that stat, but it's got to be up there. I'm sure Bonds has had seasons where he walked 25% of the times. I'm actually going to look that up. But yeah, pitchers have really been pitching around him. Holy moly. Okay. Oh my God. I always, oh my gosh, I'm like having a heart attack looking at Barry Bonds' Fangraph page. Holy moly. Okay. I said it was crazy that Aaron Judge walked 25.9% of the time in 2004. Oh my God. In 2004, Barry Bonds for the season walked 37.6% of the time, and he struck out only 6.6% of the time. That's insane. Oh my God. I'm gonna have nightmares about that tonight.
Shout out to Barry.
Yeah, the GOAT.
Just a freak.
My God. I always forget how good he is, and then I go and look at his page, and I'm like, I have never seen anything like this. That's insane. 37.6 for a season. Oh my God. Okay. Well, let's move on from that.
So Aaron Judge also, interestingly enough, since we're going to talk about the September month in review here in a second, still on pace currently if he can beat out Luis Arias for average to win the Triple Crown.
And that would be the first AL Triple Crown since Miggy.
That's correct. That would be the first AL Triple Crown since Miggy. Jake, really quick trivia. When do you think the last Triple Crown not by an AL hitter was?
Stan Musial.
Wrong.
Frick. I don't know. 1940s.
30s. The last NL Triple Crown was by a Cardinal, but it was by Joe Medwick. 37. Hasn't been an NL Triple Crown winner since 1937. So, at least according to this article, but it's by MLB.com. So if they got it wrong, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, you should be.
I will be. There's a cool article about how he's got a chance to win the quadruple crown if he leads in I think he leads in several other categories too. Which the last like craziest triple crown was Miguel Cabrera, which was actually a septuple crown because he led in obviously average, obviously home runs, obviously RBI, but he led in extra base hits. He's second in runs or something like that. Second in WAR, which was crazy because he won the Triple Crown and he was like almost 3 full WAR behind Mike Trout for that season.
Yeah, Mike Trout deserved the MVP that year, but Miggy still batted .330 with 44 dingers, which is pretty dope.
Pretty dumb. But on to the month in review. Speaking of average, league leaders in average for the month of September. Aaron Judge, 417. The guy's just a freak. Sure, he's on here. Several other places.
Oh yeah, there's a common theme.
417 average for Mr. Judge in the NL. Justin Turner, awesome, 342. Shout out Justin Turner. Feels like he hasn't been as much of a factor this year as in previous years, but playoff time, everyone knows Justin Turner in the playoffs.
Yeah, he really struggled in the first half. I had him on one of my fantasy teams, so I was really keyed into that. In the first half, he batted .256, and he's turned it around and batted .329 in the second half since the All-Star break. So that's been really cool for him. And he's also hit 4 dingers in September, which is more than he had in any other month this season. So yeah, he really was struggling early on and has turned it around a lot and has actually made his end of season line actually look pretty solid, pretty comparable to what he's done in seasons past. His 126 WRC plus this year's matches what he had last year, which not something you would expect when he has fewer than half as many home runs as he had last year.
Yeah, power. He's got like kind of a weird like fluctuation in the power he has, where it's like he had 27 last year, he's got 13 this year, and then if you go back to like 2018, he had like 14 and then 27 again. So like, I don't know, Justin Turner, weird peak and valley kind of hitter, but you know, average back on track. He's going to be a dog in the playoffs for the Dodgers. He always is.
Let's hope not.
Well, yeah, for your sake. On the hit side, in the AL, Bo Bichette of the Toronto Blue Jays. Love Bo. Everyone kind of expected a lot out of Bo this year, and start the year not too hot. Really picked it up as of late. And then in the NL, rookie extraordinaire Joey Meneses. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
Joey Meneses
Yeah.
with 34.
Bichette, yeah, like you said, he was really terrible in the first half of the season. I think he had a 105 WRC plus in the first half and a 169 WRC plus in the second half. But really, all of that comes into the month of September, where he had a 233 WRC plus, which is bonkers. He just, I don't know what it was. It was like he just started striking out more, which is not what you like to see, especially for a team that's supposed to be really great this year. He's posted the highest strikeout rate of his career since his rookie season. So that's been pretty disappointing, but yeah, he's really turned things around so hard this last month that he's now having a better season than he did in either of the past 2 seasons. He's up to a 131 WRC plus, which is only trailing his 46 game sample in his rookie year. So this actually could be considered his best offensive season compared to the league average, which is crazy to say after how slow he started. So yeah, really cool to see him turn around. He just hasn't been able to steal bases like he did last year, but nonetheless, he's really turned it around this month, and he is going to get a crazy good card on MLB The Show.
Absolutely. So shout out to Bo Bichette. And on to the runs. We talk about these guys all the time. Aaron Judge, AL, he's got 26 runs, whatever. NL side, Freddie Freeman, 22. So both those guys, I guess they're okay. Aaron Judge just does it all. Is there anything more to say about that guy?
No, I think we can stop talking about Aaron Judge for the rest of the episode.
Awesome.
But Freddie Freeman, yeah, really good. He's looking like Freddie Freeman always does, just one of the best contact and power hitters. The craziest thing, he is striking out at the lowest rate of his entire career, 14.2%, but he's also not hitting dingers anymore, but he's also stealing bases. He's got a career high 13 stolen bases. He's got only 20 home runs, but I guess he's making up for that by batting freaking 329, which would be the highest rate of his career, except for the 2020 season. So he's looking like he's fitting right in with the Dodgers. And of course, the Dodgers just get another MVP candidate whenever they want to. His 159 WRC plus is also the highest of his career other than 2020. So pretty incredible.
Yeah, pretty bog standard 7 WAR season from Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
It would be higher than the season he won MVP in.
Of course.
Yeah.
Shortened season.
It's still high. It's still the highest of his career, and it feels like people just don't care.
I think it's just because he's overshadowed by other guys on his team, or it's not really overshadowed. It's like, I don't know, when you have a bunch of great guys on a team, it's
hard to recognize that one
exactly
of them is like exceedingly great.
Yeah, you got Mookie and Trey Turner, but also I think everybody in baseball is being overshadowed by like Ohtani and Judge and Joey Meneses.
shout out to Hit King Joey Meneses.
He's been crazy though. Like we sort of just skipped over him, but
yeah,
he's been incredible. For the season, he's batting 330. He's got 13 home runs. This is just in 52 games, and he is a 30-year-old rookie. So it's cool to see him do this. We were talking pre-recording that this is just this year's version of Frank Schwindel, where he's just gonna go off for this season's final 2 months and then find his way into oblivion next year. But I hope for the best for him. He seems like he's just an incredible hitter, but he's definitely outperforming StatCast metrics, I'm sure, if I look it up. Oh yeah, what do you think the difference between his WOBA and xWOBA is? If his WOBA is at 407, what do you think his xWOBA is?
It's in the 3s, and I bet it's in the low 3s. Is that right?
Yes. 334.
Oh, a little bit higher than I was going to guess.
Yeah. So he's outperforming his X batting average by like 63 points, and his X slug by 107 points. So he's definitely been getting pretty lucky. He's got some good StatCast metrics, but obviously this guy's just getting pretty lucky. But it's been a great story. I mean, he's had some great moments this season. He had a walk-off home run about a month ago, and he just doesn't stop. So it's cool. I mean, what is he going to be the NL Rookie of the Year?
I don't know.
No, I'm joking. Know. They got Michael Harris is probably going to win that, but it's yeah, I think Meneses is going to be in it for sure. That would be crazy if he finishes top 3 and then he gets the Nationals a draft pick and gets him that like full year of service time. Is it top 2 or top 3? I can't remember.
I think it was top 3.
Yeah, so that would be really cool because he's been a great story this year at the age of 30. But I hope for the best for him next year. But I really doubt that he's going to be able to keep this up.
Probably not. On to the home run leaders. Aaron Judge, get out of my life. Mike Trout, Anthony Santander with 10 home runs. Mike Trout is still Mike Trout. Who would have thought? It's basically him and Ohtani on the Angels versus everybody else because that team is garbage. Anthony Santander of the Baltimore Orioles really trying to propel them into that wild card chase, which they're now pretty much out of. But still, story super great. And then on the NL side, Polar Bear Pete Alonso setting a Mets record for RBI in a single season, also in September. Congratulations to Pete Alonso and Dalton Varsho of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both had 9. Both need to get big because they haven't been able to match Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, or Anthony Santander. Just one off, guys. Come on, can't hit another dinger. But
Trout, the renaissance of Trout has been really cool because if everybody remembers, he was out for a while with that back injury that people thought was the end of the world, and he came back and showed that he's still Mike Trout. He's got 38 home runs in just 115 games, which puts him on a 162 game pace of 54 dingers. So yeah, I mean, he is still Mike Trout, and it really he just went off for a month just to show everybody, I still got it. 10 home runs in the month of September matches his total for the month of June for his most of the season, but yeah, everybody loves Mike Trout. He's the GOAT. I mean, he's probably already locked into the Hall of Fame. But he just keeps going. He's 30 now. Let's hope this back injury doesn't hold him back too much, but it obviously hasn't. And then Santander, and I think Varsho sort of in that same boat where they're both just quietly mashing a bunch of dingers. I'm sure if I was more tuned into baseball than I have been recently, then I would have been more aware of it. But Santander's up to 33 home runs this year. Really great season for him, probably definitely the best of his career. That's pretty cool. I didn't know he was doing that, and he's doing that despite the new dimensions of Camden Yards, which is pretty unexpected. And then Varsho, I had no idea he was doing that, and he's got 27 home runs on the season. Holy moly,
27 home runs as a 5-tool catcher outfielder. Like,
such a weird player.
He's a really weird player. Very quietly having almost a 5-WAR season.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I think the Diamondbacks are actually going to be pretty fun to watch a couple of years from now. I think we said this earlier in the year with the Pirates because they were, calling up O'Neal Cruz. They had some other guys that looked like they were going to be exciting players to watch for a while. And I think the Diamondbacks are sort of putting themselves in that range. Same with like the Orioles, where they've got a bunch of young, exciting players, but the Diamondbacks, quietly putting themselves in that conversation with like calling up Corbin Carroll, but then also having guys like Varsho and Christian Walker breaking out, and guys on the mound like Gallen and a bunch of other guys that they've called up in September. So they're going to be interesting to watch next year. I think they're probably a couple years away, but they're starting to move towards an area where they're actually an exciting team to watch.
Oh yeah, they're firmly on the fun but bad scale.
Yes.
So congratulations to the Diamondbacks for finally breaking onto that scale. Runs batted in, AL leader this time, not Aaron Judge, but it is still the aforementioned Bo Bichette, 27, and then previously mentioned Pete Alonso, 26. Not a whole lot else to say here. Both of these guys just absolutely mashed in September. Pete Alonso on pace to he's already broken the record, but he's just going to completely destroy it too. It was 100. It was 125.
Wow.
For the Mets record, and now I think he's in like the 130s.
Yeah, he's 131 right now.
Yep.
He's really having a great season, continuing those gains he showed last year and reducing his strikeout rate below 20%. That's really what's helped him hold his batting average up, but also maintaining the power that he showed. He's at 40 dingers, and he's on pace to play like 161 games or so, which is also cool. I love those guys that are sort of iron horses. I mean, nobody's going to be Cal Ripken, but you don't really see guys taking just one day off the entire season, not only because you have to avoid injury, but also be able to withstand the rigors of a full season. So it's been pretty cool to see Pete Alonso have another great season. I think he's one of the premier players in baseball. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool that you actually mentioned him being like that iron horse. He missed one game his rookie season. He missed 3 in the 2020 season. He missed, which is crazy because almost everyone got COVID that year. 2021, 152 games, and this year he's had 157 games. So like he just doesn't miss time. He obviously mashes. The guy's ridiculous. Yeah. So shout out to Pete Alonso. Completely destroying Mets RBI record, which he totally deserves. Moving on, stolen bases. Bubba Thompson. We've talked about this guy once or twice before. He's got 10, and then in the NL side, Jake McCarthy, also with 10.
Yeah, Bubba Thompson, just like a big speed, no power guy, strikes out a lot. I think he's I don't know who to compare him to. Can't really think of somebody to compare him to, but yeah, he's got a lot of speed, doesn't have a lot of bat, and he strikes out a lot. 31.5% of the time. He's only got one dinger so far in 50 games, but he's stolen 18 bases this season. 10 of them came last month. He's a rookie. He's 24 years old. So I think he's like a really athletic guy that doesn't have a great hit tool, but it's cool
Billy
that
Hamilton.
yeah. Well, yeah, he's like Billy Hamilton, but I don't know. Did Billy Hamilton strike out that much? I felt like Billy
Hamilton,
better.
not early in his career, but Billy Hamilton got miserably bad later in his career.
Oh yeah, this season he's striking out 52% of the time.
Well, yeah, but the rest of his career was like in the 20s.
Yeah, which is not bad, but like Bubba
That's
Thompson
not
first
good.
year he's at like 30%, and in Billy Hamilton's first year he was at 19%. So I think Billy was better at making contact, which was, sort of help him like beat out balls in the field. So we'll see. Bubba Thompson did have some pretty solid numbers in the minors. In AAA this year. He hit 13 dingers. So he definitely has some power to show, but it'll be interesting to see if he can reach it. I'm not super confident about that, but right. He's a rookie. Like you got to give him a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the Jake McCarthy front, we just talked about the Diamondbacks, but Jake McCarthy also 10 steals, like probably going to end up being like a fourth outfielder just based on like the prospects and stuff that they have. But yeah, I mean, he's had also a quietly good season. He's got a 122 WRC plus, and he's worth almost 2.5 WAR in 95 games. So yeah, I mean, he's had a good season, 22 steals on the season with 8 dingers to go along with that. And also a guy striking out 20% of the time. There you go, Jake.
Yeah, he sort of put himself in the position to be one of the main outfielders in Arizona. I've been doing playing time analysis for the Diamondbacks for like most of the season for Baseball HQ. So I've been having to keep on top of that kind of stuff. But yeah, like you said, they've got a glut of outfielders like Alec Thomas, who just got demoted to the minor leagues, but McCarthy, Thomas, Varsho, and Corbin Carroll. But McCarthy's like showing like he's really got some great tools. He's got a little bit of power, but also a lot of speed, and he's been batting 290 for the season. I think he's going to be a main part of the outfield. It could force Varsho back to the catcher position so that they don't have to sort of platoon everybody, because all 4 of those outfielders I just mentioned are all lefties. So they're going to have to figure something out there, but it's better to have a lot of options than to not have any. So Jake McCarthy, I think, is somebody to watch. I mean, if you haven't been paying a ton of attention to baseball like I have over the last couple of months, then you would probably not know what Jake McCarthy's been doing, but he's really showing himself to be one of the best hitters on the Diamondbacks. He's been batting 3rd every single day.
Wow. So great season in the works from Jake McCarthy. On to the OPS leaders in the AL. Aaron Judge, go away. Let's talk about someone else.
His OPS is crazy. 1434. I think the
Yeah.
next highest was in the 1100s.
Yeah, it's just it's 1434 OPS from Aaron Judge in the month of September. Congratulations, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your participation ribbon when the Yankees inevitably lose in the playoffs.
Let's go.
And outside, New York Mets legend Eduardo Escobar.
Mm-hmm.
A 1042 OPS. Eduardo Escobar, I feel like he hasn't done a whole lot this season, but
No, and he's really turned it on in September. He hit for the cycle earlier in the year.
yeah,
I remember that.
I do remember.
And that was basically all he did. He started getting benched in August. He didn't play at all. They just weren't putting him in games. He played 12 games in August, and now he's back in there, and he's been batting 327 for the month with 8 homers. So he's really getting back to it. I really thought it was weird that he was so bad, because I always thought he was just one of those sort of just quietly really solid players, and he really has been able to do that because he can play all over the field. But yeah, he's turned it around this month enough to put his season on par with what he did last season, literally 1 point behind in WRC plus. So yeah, he's back to normal. It's crazy that like just 1 month can put a guy from like, oh wow, this is the worst season of his career to, oh, okay, actually no, he's just in line with whatever he's done for his career. So yeah, he should be able to continue this hot streak into the postseason, which will be interesting. I think the Mets are definitely one of those teams to watch.
Yeah, they've kind of faltered a little bit as of late, and they've kind of dipped down into the wild card. But you know, they still have 98 wins.
Yeah. No, that's like the big race right now. We're going to talk about standings after we run through the rest of the pitching league leaders, but yeah, the Braves and the Mets are definitely the biggest race to watch right now, because that's going to be key, because you're either going to be, I mean, we'll talk about this more later, but you're either going to be the team that has to play a stupid like 3-game wild card game, or you just skip the whole wild card round altogether if you win the division.
Absolutely. Sticking with the same two guys. We just talked about F4 leaders for the month of September. Aaron Judge, shield your eyes, everybody. 2.9 F4 in the month of September for
That's
Mr.
crazy.
Judge. Just stupid. And then Eduardo Escobar 1.6. Very paltry 1.6. Get on Aaron Judge's level. 2.9.
Yeah. He's at 11.2 right now, Judge. How does that stand up against the league leaders? That's crazy.
Yeah, 11.6. He's got a 210 WRC plus for this year. Whatever.
Just look at since 2000, the highest F4 in a season is, well, obviously Barry Bonds, but other than Barry, oh my God, Aaron Judge has the highest WAR since 2000, other than Barry Bonds. The next highest is 10.6 by Mookie Betts in 2018, but Judge is at 11.2. That's crazy. So not only is that crazy by itself, but the fact that Ohtani is like smack dab in the middle of like, oh, I think Ohtani should win MVP is crazy, because Judge is like having one of the best seasons of all time. And I'm still in the boat where I'm just like, well, Ohtani deserves MVP. Does Judge pitch?
Like, I'm probably on Team Judge so far.
Boo.
I hate being on Team Judge because I agree with you. I just think it's like, I don't think they're gonna vote for him just because Aaron Judge is.
Oh no! But like,
season.
what do you think? Not like what the voters are gonna do, because obviously they're gonna choose Judge.
If he breaks the home run record, I think you give it to him. Like, I think you have to give it to Judge, just because like he's had such an amazing season, and then it's like, okay, well, here he snapped this record that's been around for a cajillion years back in the Stone Ages. And now, like, you have this, and he's got 11.2 WAR, and like, if he gets hot, like the rest of the game, he can almost get close to 12 WAR season.
Yeah, but Ohtani was unanimous last year, and he's better this year.
I agree. It's just like when he's having, like, when there's a historic season like this, I really think like it's just gonna be Judge.
You're probably right, but I think that's the wrong answer.
If they could have it be 1A and 1B, it would be Judge and Ohtani.
Yes, please give us co-MVPs. I think everybody will be okay with it, because Ohtani,
except for Yankees fans, they'd be like, oh, we're Judge.
Yeah, Ohtani has been basically equally as good with the bat this year. Obviously not as many home runs, but he's batting 276, and he's I mean, compared to the league average, he's basically been just as good. And then on the pitching side, he's been way better. He's got a 2.35 ERA, and he's thrown 30 more innings than he threw last year. And he's got the highest strikeout per 9 in baseball. Like, we could probably do a whole podcast about Ohtani. We should definitely do one this offseason. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be the big conversation once the World Series ends, is just Ohtani versus Judge. It's going to be all we're going to see all over social media and on MLB.com.
Absolutely. It should just be MVP 1 and or 1A and 1B.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's just get rid of the NL MVP and just make 2 AL MVPs. How about that?
Don't get rid of the NL MVP. Manny Machado's got to win that.
No, it's gonna be Goldie probably.
No, it needs to be Machado.
Maybe Arenado.
No Norman Arenado. Not on my watch. On to pitcher wins. Alek Manoah, Shohei Ohtani. Hey, look, I know that guy. Shane Bieber. All with 4 wins in the AL, but all get paced by my man. I love to spend all my heart. NL leader in wins for the month. Bad news, Yu Darvish with 5. Just all those pitchers on that list pale in comparison to Yu Darvish. That's my guy forever. 5 wins. Give him the Cy Young. Everyone else in the NL is a bum. Yu Darvish, 5 wins. I don't know how you can get better than that.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid all season. Really haven't
3.10
watched
ERA.
him much recently. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Better than
good.
last year though.
It's crazy because his peripheral numbers are pretty much the same. He just got really hosed last year. He actually has a worse xERA this year than he did last year.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and their xFIPs are close. It's not like the closest 3.75 to 3.58, but 4.2 ERA to 3.1 ERA, big difference.
Yeah, just
Also
looking
like
just looking like classic Darvish again. I mean, I don't know what the biggest difference is. I think you just walk in fewer batters. Getting luck more on his side. His 251 BABIP is probably the lowest of his career, so he's been pretty lucky in that department. But
home run to fly ball percentage is way, way down. He's just not giving up home runs now, or as much. Last year was like not an anomaly because he was pretty bad in 2019 about that, but almost 15% to 9.5% is a pretty big difference. And then the other guys in the AL, Manoah and Bieber, who cares?
I love Manoah.
I do too.
Manoah is like one of my favorite players in baseball. I mean, not only because like I picked him up last year in fantasy and he was just great for me, but he just seems to have one of the best personalities in baseball. I love like he's not scared to fight anybody too. Like that was really funny
Bieber,
when he almost fought Garrett Cole a couple months ago. That was really fun. But
Garrett Cole probably doesn't want any part of that fight.
No, he does not. I mean, Manoah could probably take on a whole team. Yeah, he's huge, bro. He's 6'6", 260.
That's a big dude.
You. Yeah, so he's thrown nearly 200 innings this year. He's got a 2.24 ERA. I think he's just one of the best pitchers in baseball, and at just the age of 24. And I'm excited to watch the rest of his career from the front row seat. And the only thing to say about Bieber is that despite a drop in velocity, like a big drop in velocity, he's just pitched around it the whole year. I mean, I think everybody that sort of analyzes pitching was waiting for his demise all season, and it just never came. He's just been able to pitch around his 91 mile per hour fastball velocity, which is a huge drop from previous seasons. I think he won the Cy Young in 2020, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think his fastball velocity was then? It's at 91 now.
I want to say it was probably around 94.
It was 94. Yeah. So he's lost 3 miles per hour since his Cy Young season, and it doesn't seem to matter, which I don't know if that's a Guardians sort of pitching magic thing, or if he just is just good at pitching, or if he's getting really lucky, but pretty incredible to see that. His xFIP suggests he's not been lucky. He's got the same exact xFIP as his ERA. So I don't know how he's doing it, but he is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy it's really gone down that much, because I mean, if you go look at his metrics from the previous 2 years on like Savant, like his put away percent on that fastball is just fallen off a cliff. It went from almost 30 last year, 29.4. Previous season, 28.7. This year it's not even 20. And opposing teams are hitting. They have a 309 xBA against it, but then slider just wild. Sliders really his sliders really become more of like a pitch that he's gone to this year, and the usage has gone up a lot from the previous 2 years. Last year he threw it I think he threw it almost 398 times, and then in 2020 he threw it less than 150 times. This year, how many times do you think he's throwing that slider?
What was the other numbers you just said?
So in 2020 he threw his slider 144 times. In 2021, he threw his slider 398 times. How many times do you think he's thrown that slider this year?
450.
It's almost double that.
What?
806 sliders he's thrown this year.
Okay, there it is.
With a -10 run value.
It's pretty solid.
Yep, -10 run value on that slider. 201 xBA, and his breaking stuff is really is been what's got him through. He used to be like a fastball curveball kind of guy, and then he'd mix in that cutter. Cutter's kind of gone a little bit away, but it's still been really good. And then if you look at his off speed, he's gone like slider, curveball, cutter, and the run value on that is -10, -8, -7. So
yeah, just great off-speed stuff has been able to stop the downfall of the
who
fastball.
cares if your fastball is garbage if you can just throw this cutter
Exactly.
that jams everybody or that people can't hit, and you can mix it with a slider that he's thrown close to as much as his fastball, which is just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's really, really fun. He's thrown that fastball 964 times, slider 800 times.
That's the way to go. Just don't throw the fastball if it's your worst pitch.
Must be. Moving on down the line, pitcher wins. On to saves. You know, we're a reliever podcast. Manuel Clase, 10 saves, leads the majors. Just the one ahead of Camilo Doval. I believe he plays for the Giants, right?
Yes, sir.
He throws gas too, doesn't he?
Both of them do. Both of them throw the fastest cutters in baseball. So there's
a correlation.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, maybe they're good friends. But Class A has been incredible all season. He leads baseball with 40 saves. He's the only guy with 40 saves, and he's just been doing exactly what he did last year, where he had an ERA below 1.5, which is really great. And except this year now he's been limiting base runners, 0.74 whip. He's just been so good. Yeah, relying on that cutter 60% of the time. It averages 99.5 miles per hour. He is going to be fun to watch in the playoffs, that's for sure, because he's just gonna shorten games so quickly, and same with the rest of that bullpen and that pitching staff. The Guardians could be a lot of fun to watch. They're definitely going to be one of the teams to keep an eye on in the playoffs, because they are just like, I don't know, one of those sneaky teams that just come out of nowhere and dominate because of pitching, which is, probably the most important factor in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Their bullpen is just ridiculous. I wanted to say they were like one of the top bullpen ERAs in all of baseball. But yeah, their pitching, like their pitching staff is just ridiculous. Their bullpen is crazy. Their lineup, they have a lot of guys that genuinely just put the ball in play. Mm-hmm. Like then if they're just doing that in the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out. I'm not going to call them a dark horse right now, but they're good. Like that is a good team.
Yes. And then for Doval, like I said, he throws the second fastest cutter in baseball, 99.3 miles per hour on average. And he's only 25 years old. He's going to be the Giants closer for a while to come. So it should be fun to watch him. I think he's just one of those guys that needs to throw some more strikes. He walks 10% of batters, which is usually not great. That's led to a 1.26 whip, but he's still been really great this season. I think he's like one of the up-and-coming closers in baseball, and if the Giants were any good, you would probably have more than 27 saves.
Absolutely.
Giants are terrible.
Not good. ERA leaders, the aforementioned Alek Manoah leads all of baseball by a long shot with his 0.88 ERA compared to the NL leaders. Jose Quintana with sub 1.89 ERA, just a mile between the two. Quintana really has been like a sneaky pickup for the Cardinals, much to my chagrin, because that guy was just flat out terrible for the Cubs. But yeah, everyone knew Manoah was good. Quintana getting some of the devil magic from the freaking Cardinals just won't go away. Not happy about it. Gotta say, not happy about it. I think Jake froze out, but that's okay. But a little bit about Jose Quintana in his month of September. He really just really had a good month compared to the rest of his season, where he hasn't really been as good. Surrendering an average just in the month of September. Opposing average against was less than 200 at 0.189, and they had 218 on base, getting a lot of usage from the same pitches that he normally throws, which are he throws like a four-seamer with a little bit of movement and a slider.
What did I miss? My Wi-Fi just turned off.
Just running down a little bit about Mr. Jose Quintana to kill a little time.
I was just gonna say that it's dope to see him be good. Like, I don't want to root against anybody unless they play for the Dodgers. So it's been sort of shitty to. Oh, whoa! That's the first time I've sworn on a podcast.
Ban this man.
30 episodes in. Yeah.
StreamYard, ban this man.
It sucks to like see him be as bad as he has been for the last few seasons. So it's great to see him get back to what he was when he was with the White Sox. And yeah, like you said, it sucked to see him be bad with the Cubs. He was also bad with the Giants last year. So it's cool to see him be good. It sucks that it has to be with, the rival of the Cubs, and the Cardinals are also, I think, I wouldn't put them in the same boat as the Indians. Or oh my God, what is wrong with me?
And this man.
As the Guardians, because they don't really have the same pitching staff. But I think the Cardinals are also they're sort of one of those quiet teams entering the playoffs where they are just going to, I think, cause some trouble for the juggernauts.
Right. So we talked about the fastball for Shane Bieber being awful. And he doesn't throw it hard. What do you think the run value for Mr. Quintana on his fastball is? And keep in mind, he throws it 91.3 miles an hour, which is slower than Shane Bieber's.
It's faster than Shane Bieber's.
No, it isn't. It was 91.4.
Oh, on Pitcher List, it was 91.2. So.
Oh, I'm looking at Fangraphs.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Read all of Jake's stuff on pitcherlist.com.
Yes. Thank you. I would say the pitch value for Quintana's fastball has got to be like the bad side on 2. Whatever, because the pitch values are different on some sites. I'm going to say whatever is bad, it's going to be 2.
No.
Negative or positive? I don't know which one.
Negative on Savant is good.
Yes. Are you on Savant or Fangraphs?
Savant.
Okay. So I'm going to say positive 2.
Negative 17.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. He's been doing what Nick Pollock of PitcherList.com likes to call the Blake Snell blueprint, which is fastballs up, breaking pitches down. So then correct. The fastball plays well off the breaking pitches. So as long as he keeps that separation, it works really well. And he's been able to stick to that all season. That was something that I keyed into early in the season and was sort of in on him. And then I was scared because he was on the Pirates. But then, as soon as you join the great defensive fielding of the Cardinals, you expect him to take off even more.
That would be correct. You talked about the Blake Snell blueprint, which is like a well-known, I like that you talk about that because it's super prevalent and you see it with a lot of pitchers. And now Quintana is using it very well. I mean, you're a Giants fan. You know how bad he was with the Giants last year.
Yeah.
Negative 17 run value, four-seamer. Negative 10 run value, curveball. Everything else is in the positives. Changeup has been miserable. Plus 14, awful. Just disgustingly bad on the changeup. Sinker, 2, not great, not super bad either, but fastball, curveball, doing it for him.
Nice.
So there's a cool little factoid about Mr. Quintana on to whip. Shane Bieber, I hardly know her, led all of the AL in whip. Jake loved that one, everybody. Sir, you heard that song. 0.81 whip for the month of September, and then NL podcast favorite Zach Gallen 0.69 nice whip for the NL. We talked about Bieber already. Zach Gallen, we talk about him almost every single podcast. That guy's just a stud.
Yeah, he's quietly had one of the best pitching seasons in all of baseball. He's got a 2.46 ERA across basically 180 innings this season. He's somehow 12-3 on a bad Diamondbacks team, and he's striking out 27% of batters. I mean, it's been pretty incredible to see him do this. It was awesome to see him do this because I was a big fan of his when he was first coming up with the Diamondbacks after he got traded over from the Marlins. He was really great in that 2019 season, and then he kept it going in the shortened season in 2020. And then last year he had a 4.30 ERA while he dealt with injuries and stuff. And I thought that would carry over into this year, but he's really been able to pitch really well for the entirety of the season, which is awesome to see. I think he's one of the more fun pitchers to watch. I think he's just got a lot of pitches. He's got a fastball, curveball, changeup, and cutter, and all of them are good. So it's cool to see him, throw all of those pitches well and to have success this year. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep that up next year if the Diamondbacks are any good. But quietly having a sub 2.5 ERA season across 180 innings pitched is tough to do in and of itself.
Absolutely. Especially that wonky ballpark they have. I don't know. He's just really good. Strikeouts leader, though, in the AL, the aforementioned Garrett Cole, didn't get beat up by Alek Manoah. Instead, struck out 44 batters.
Mm-hmm.
Guy we talked about earlier, Brandon Woodruff, led all of baseball, including the NL, which of course is where he pitches. 51 strikeouts in the month of September. That is just wild, especially because you run down the starts from earlier. Did he have a start? I don't know. He didn't. He didn't have a start in the single month where he didn't strike out 10 batters.
His first start of the month he did, but
is that correct?
Because we were covering since September 8th.
Yeah, since September 8th. That's right.
Yeah, so his last 4 starts, he struck out double-digit batters in all of them. But yeah, so he easily led baseball in strikeouts in the month of September, and Cole a little bit further down the list, but he led the American League. So I guess we'll cover him because we already covered Woodruff in depth. But I mean, you could say Cole's having his worst season since leaving Pittsburgh, which is pretty crazy, especially for the fact that he's struck out so many batters that I don't know what the number is, but he's well over 200. He's got to be, which is, really good. He's one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball. He's definitely got some blow up sometimes, and it can get hurt by the home run ball. That's for sure. But I mean, yeah, he's one of the best strikeout pitchers in all of baseball.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of Garrett Cole's season. I don't know if you've looked at his Fangraphs page. What do you think his ERA is?
Oh no, I'm looking 3.5.
Do you see that his ERA is exactly the same as his FIP?
Yep, but his xFIP is 2.82, so he's definitely been unlucky, and I think that's because the home run to fly ball rate is 17% just about, so that's pretty unlucky. But he does have 248 strikeouts on the season, which is more than he had last year. So I think it's pretty easy to say that Cole is still one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball when he's on, but sometimes he does get blown up. Sometimes he does give up a few home runs. Sometimes he just doesn't escape the first inning because he just doesn't have it that day. The first inning is always his worst. I'm sure you can look that up and look at his stats per inning, but yeah, it's he was great in the month of September in the strikeout department. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I need to actually look up that per month. That's an interesting little fact to say. And then onto the F4 per inning. Yeah. Onto the F4 leaders. AL, Shohei Ohtani. Hey, I know that guy. We talked about him quite a bit. 1.4, tied with rookie extreme. Spencer Strider. I honestly, if I had to cast my vote for NL Rookie of the Year, I think I would vote for Spencer Strider over Michael Harris.
Yeah, but Strider's just been injured recently.
Yeah,
he hasn't started
he's been so dominant though. Like
he hasn't started since the 18th, so that might keep him out. But Michael Harris has been crazy.
He has though. Like I don't know. I think I would. Me personally, I would vote for Spencer Strider.
Yeah, Strider. I think if he finished off the season strong, because I think that's going to play into the voting, just the recency bias. But Michael Harris is going to finish with 300 2020, which is crazy because he didn't play the first couple months of the season. Strider was sort of the same way where he was just coming out of the bullpen. But that first start of the month where he struck out 16 batters in 8 innings against the Rockies, that was one of the best pitching performances we've seen all season, probably the best. And yeah, I totally agree. It's going to be really hard to decide between those two. And it's cool that they're both on the same team. I hope Strider can come back healthy so that we can watch him in the playoffs because he's really exciting. That fastball is one of the best in baseball, and it comes along with a really, really good slider as well.
Oh yeah. Wow. Jake, I can't, you have completely pulled the wool over my eyes, Jake. Michael Harris actually has not even hit his 20th home run yet. So he's not a 2020
What is he at, 19?
19. Yeah. Wow. Jake's lying on the podcast.
I said he's going to be 300 2020. So he's got 3 more days to get that 20th home run. And I think he's at 18 stolen bases.
He's got the 20 stolen bases.
Oh, he has?
Yeah, he's got 20 stolen bases.
Okay. Well, there's that. So yeah, he just needs 1 home run in the next 3 days. I think he's got it.
Argument totally debunked too because he's 0.1 less.
They haven't even played. He's going to hit one today. Okay, mark my words. He's going to hit number 20 today. Their game hasn't started.
Okay, I hope he does. Yeah, Spencer Strider worth 0.1 more F4 than Michael Harris. Spencer Strider's going to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting conversation. But yeah, that's all the league leaders from the month of September. Surprised with how inconsistent we've been with the podcast the last 2 months that we've at least hit every single month in review. We've done a month in review for every single month, which is awesome. So if you want to go back and watch those, just go check out the Athletes Hub YouTube page. You'll be able to see all of our month in reviews and, hear what else we've talked about. So that'll you'll be able to see the progression of how the whole season's gone. But, we're going to try to be more consistent with podcasts this off season, as there's going to be a bunch to talk about. But before we, close everything out, I think we should cover the standings, because I think that's what everybody's going to be watching the next few days.
Absolutely. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start AL or NL?
Let's go AL, since it's not as interesting.
Okay. Obviously, AL, we can talk about the standings, and then we can talk about the wild card standings as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously the division leaders so far that have all clinched that they're going to make the playoffs. Houston, obviously, I mean, they're the best team in the AL. Still, even in the playoffs, I think they're the team to beat currently on the AL side is Houston. The Yankees are 97-60. They've clinched the AL East. And the Cleveland Guardians, the lowly Cleveland Guardians, clinched the AL Central. Currently in the wild card standings, the teams that are in as of right now are Toronto, Seattle, and Tampa. I think Tampa haven't completely clinched it.
No, they've all clinched the wild card. So the wild card's
okay.
all solidified there, but the seeding on the wild card is probably still up in the air between the Mariners and the Rays.
That's right. They're the Seattle Mariners have a 1.5 game lead over the Tampa Bay Rays.
I think it's 2 games now, because one of the teams played today. The Rays lost today.
Oh yeah, then it would be 2 games then, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It just hasn't updated on MLB.com yet.
Yeah. On the app it has.
Yeah, on their on the actual website it hasn't, which is weird.
Okay.
That is very weird. Oh no, it just did. Okay, cool.
Well, the Mariners are losing right now to the worst team in the American League, the Oakland A's, which is awesome. 56-102. So they are not even going to win 60 games this year. Awesome. Let's go. Yeah. Hopefully, we're doing draft lottery right now, aren't we? Isn't that one of the new things with the CBA?
Yes.
So they're not even locked into the first pick. Yeah, they're not even locked into the first pick, which is awesome. I mean, even still, the Nationals would have beat them out because they are somehow worse. But yeah, one of my bold predictions in one of the podcasts I did on a different website was that the A's wouldn't be the worst team in the American League, and it's not the case. They are the worst team in the American League, and it's not been fun to watch. I went to one A's game this year, and it was awesome because Ohtani was playing.
That's the only reason to go to an A's game.
Exactly.
Yeah, really. I do like that they have the lottery, because teams like the A's and teams like the Nationals that are that garbage and that are garbage on purpose don't deserve to have that handed to them. You should have to attempt to try to be competitive. Moving on to the NL side, the division leaders, obviously, I mean, the Dodgers clinched it a month and a half ago.
They've got some of the most wins of all time. I think they're third or something in all-time wins. They're at 110 right now, and I think I'm just going to pull this up real quick.
The league record is 116.
Yeah, that was the 2001 Mariners. Then they've been cursed ever since then. Mike Trout hit another home run today, by the way, so he's at 39. Where is it? I'm trying to find this tweet with the most wins in a season. You got the 2001 Mariners and the 1906 Cubs. They're both at 116. Then you got the 98 Yankees with 114. The 1954 Cleveland, I don't know what they were back then, 111.
They were the Indians.
I'm sure. And then tied for 5th are the 2022 Dodgers, the 27 Yankees, and the 1909 Pirates with 110. So only 7 teams ever have gotten 110 wins. So we are seeing one of the best seasons of all time, and the Dodgers just, they don't even care if half of their team is injured and stuff. They just have all these MVPs that are just pulling their team to one of the best seasons of all time. So they could finish ahead of that Cleveland 1954 Cleveland team and have the 4th most wins of all time. And if you count out the 1906 Cubs, which are probably not a real baseball team, then you just have the 01 Mariners, the 98 Yankees, and then the 2022 Dodgers if they do reach 112.
Man,
and they also set the record for the most wins by multiple runs in a single season, surpassing those 98 Yankees. They're at 94 wins this season that have come with multiple run advantages.
Good God.
Yes, that is the correct reaction.
So your NL division leaders, other than the Los Angeles Dodgers, Atlanta, and the Mets have currently clinched. So they're battling out to see who's going to win the East.
They face each other tonight.
Mm-hmm. They sure do. And then that's like you said at the start, that's going to be the race to watch. The the Mets have kind of faltered as of late. They've been, I think they're 5-5. They're on a 2-game losing streak as well. Not ideal. But
I mean, both of those teams are just so good, so it's going to be really interesting to see. But yeah, that's that might be the most important race out of all of them. Obviously, like in the wild card, which we're just about to hit, that's like making the playoffs in general. But like I said before, if the Braves win the division, they don't have to go through the wild card round, which is going to be awful this year. Just a 3-game series that decides like your fate for the season is just crazy. It's going to be wild. I'm excited to watch some playoffs pretty soon next week.
Absolutely. And then before we get to the Central, the Dodgers actually expected win-loss is 114-44.
That's insane.
So I think they're currently underperforming that. Yeah. So the wild card teams currently, before we get there, your St. Louis Cardinals are leading the Central. Yawn. No one cares. Wild card teams, Mets, aforementioned, and then there's kind of like a 3-way dogfight right now. It's going to most likely be, I think it's still going to be what it is right now, where it's going to be San Diego and Philadelphia, but the Brewers are still in with a shout. I do think it's going to end with San Diego and Philly there, but I don't know. Brewers still, if they make it in, like they have a chance to make a deep run too, just because their lineup is streaky. If they get hot, they're really tough to beat, and their rotation is really good, even though their bullpen, like outside of Devin Williams, is it's fine, but it's not anything super, super special anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of the tightest races to watch right now is the Padres, Phillies, and Brewers. I think if the Brewers lose today, or the Padres win, then the Padres have clinched a wild card berth. So right now the Brewers are tied in the 11th inning with the Marlins, and the Padres are tied with the White Sox in the 6th. So those will be some interesting games. The Phillies already won today, so they're already doing some work to keep them in. But like you said, that's one of the longest playoff droughts. So we could knock out both the top 2 longest playoff droughts in one season. So that'll be an interesting race to watch as well.
Absolutely. Tigers next season. Got to break that playoff drought.
Yes.
Probably not, but we'll see. What's the plan for the closer today, Jake? Who's closing out the podcast?
Once again, it's going to be me. Jake didn't have enough time to get to it, so we have no closer. But I'm sure once we get on more of a regular schedule with this, now that I am available on weekends, our podcast will likely be on weekends. We're going to have to change that background so that it doesn't say Mondays anymore, because
we haven't done a Monday in like a month and a half.
We just got to make it say weekends at 4 p.m. because it'll be either Saturday or Sunday, whichever works best for both of us. But both Davis and I are working new jobs, so we've got a lot going on outside of the baseball universe. So we're both trying to keep up with the podcast. But it should be at least once a week during the playoffs, because I'm sure we're going to want to talk about that with somebody, so that like our
absolutely
people that don't care about baseball don't have to hear us talk about it.
Absolutely. So check back in with us. We are going to try to do a pod every single week, recapping previous week's playoff events and things that are going to be going on. We'll carry this on into the off season as well. Talk about baseball because we love baseball.
Yes, sir.
So on that note, we'll do the same usual plugs we always do. You can follow me on Twitter at DVSBird. It's on the screen. You can follow Jake Crumpler at Jake Crumpler on twitter.com. Make sure you read all of Jake's stuff. He's just a great writer, man. He's so good. Follow him at Baseball HQ. Check out everything there. Pitcher list, read all of his stuff. And of course, our podcast is presented by theathleteshub.org. I didn't forget, Jake.
Nice job.
Read all of our stuff at the Athletes Hub. I'm participating in our NFL Pick'em now, and I need to write something, so Devin does not fire me. So I'll have something on there at some point in the near-ish to sometime in the future. Check all of our stuff. Follow us on social media. Check back with us next weekend. And follow the Athletes Hub also on Twitter so you can check out our updates there.